everyone, this is Lori here with Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So today's video is a yarny catch up where I talk about the crochet and knit projects that I've been working on. Today I have to talk about 3 sort of finished crochet objects, a crochet works in progress. I'm not going to talk about any knitting today. The only knitting I've been doing is working on a dishcloth that's in my go bag, and that's not very exciting, and I've only done a few rows on it since my last video. So let's talk about the crochet stuff that I've been working on. Sorry, my mail just came. My mailman just walked across my front lawn. So let's talk about the sort of finished objects first. So I've been watching Terry over at Yarn Joy Podcast, and Rebecca over at Yarn in Pajamas has joined in with her, but they are doing Finish It Fridays, which I've been really enjoying. They are doing different types of things for their Finish It Fridays. Rebecca's doing more like sleeping whips and working on little pieces of her sleeping whips in manageable amounts, and Terry's working on more, I guess, projects that she wants to get done that are kind of on the to-do list that are smaller type things, is what she's doing for her Finish It Fridays. And watching them and kind of encouraged me to get out a sleeping whip that I wanted to get out this summer, which I think is this portion at least is a good summertime project. And this pattern, I believe, is called the Amma Cal, it's by Tina. Not going to attempt to pronounce her last name. Excuse me. I will put it in here for you guys, though. If you're not familiar with her, I call her the Queen of Mosaic. She has all these beautiful mosaic patterns, including this Amma Cal blanket. It was a Cal back in 2001. I did purchase the pattern back in 2001 and I started it. I did not use the yarn that she recommended because the yarn was wool and the yarn was expensive. And I already had a bunch of colors of these Premier Anti-Pilling DK. Sorry, this is a partially used skein. And I thought that it would be beautiful yarn for this project, and I'm so glad that's what I decided to do this in, because I am really enjoying working with this yarn, and I'm so glad that I pulled the project out because I really enjoyed working on the parts that I worked on. So I'm sorry I don't have my notes, so I'm going from memory. I realized when I started this video and I went to turn on my tablet and get my app open that talks about my progress, because I keep my notes in there, and realized that my tablet was dead. But I wanted to do the video, so we're doing the video. So let's talk about the Amma squares that I worked on. So the Amma Cal is based on Tina's grandmother's, or maybe I should refer to it. I think an Amma, if I remember right, is a grandma in Icelandic. And so many of the squares are named after her grandmothers who taught her to crochet. And also I think one of the squares is named after her mom, and one's also named after her. But here's the squares that I've worked on. So this is the first one that I did, and the blanket size that I'm doing, I will need to make 20 squares, and this is square number 11. So she has like a color chart, and she tells you which square to put where, and I'm following the color chart. I decided I'm using these colors in place of her colors of her yarn, and I'm using similar colors from Premier. So this is square number 11, and this is a Maria square. The squares, they are all the same, like the centers are different, and then the part from here out is all the same. And I chose to do most of my squares in, so 5 colors. So the 3 for the design, and then white, and then raven. So for my design for this one, the center I believe is canary. This one here, although on video I think it's looking kind of blackish, it's actually like a dark purple, and the color is called eggplant. And then this orange is called carrot. So that's square number 11. Square number 12, I believe this is called an Amma Pora square. I think it's spelled something like Piora. Again, my notes, I don't have them. This is what the square looks like. Whoops. This is what the square looks like. So this center here is really red, and this here is aqua, and the pink is magenta, and then of course the white and the raven. So that is square number 12. And then square number 13 is also a Maria square, and the colors that I use for this one, the center is bright blue, and again the carrot, and this green is treetop, and then the white and the raven. So yeah, I got those 3 squares done. I love working with this yarn. I find the squares really fun and interesting to work on. The middle portion I have to pay attention to when I'm doing that part, but once I get past that and I get to what Tina calls petals, which are these things, I can pretty much just work along and watch TV and without an issue at all. And I really enjoyed working on these 3 squares. A square takes me about 3 evenings to make 1 square. The part around the outside, like this part from probably here out, that's an entire evening, because once I get to there, you know, it's worked in the round, so each round's getting pretty long by that point. So it's about 2 to 3 evenings. Some of these I probably did in 2, but most of them I would say are probably 3 evenings. So that's my 3 squares from the Amma Cal. The other thing that I've been working on is, well, one of the other things that I've been working on, and I talked about this before, is from MJ's, and I can't think of the rest of the name of her thing right now. I'll put it down here. I will link her in the description box. I will also link, because I didn't mention this, I will link Tina's YouTube channel, because she has YouTube videos for most of these squares, not all of these. It is a paid pattern. I will also link the paid pattern in the description box below if you're interested. So anyways, so MJ top. I started this top a while ago. I'll tell you about my saga for the top. So MJ released these patterns. It was like a make-along. I think it's a make-along. I think it's a summer make-along or something like that. So anyways, so she had coupon codes for the yarn and all that stuff, which I used the coupon code and I got the yarn. This is the yarn that I'm using. It is We Crochet Comfy Fingering Weight yarn. And this color is Marlin. And it is 75% Pima cotton, and it's 25% acrylic, and it is a fingering weight yarn. And it says you can machine wash cold and tumble dry it on low, which I don't think that I would. This yarn seems a little too delicate for machine washing, but we'll see. I am pretty lazy, I'll admit, so we'll see what happens. So I had a heck of a time getting a gauge on this, which I think I've mentioned before. I decided not to do gauge swatch. It seemed like if I worked the back panel and measured that out, that would be good enough. So I started out with the recommended hook and following the pattern completely. I made the back panel. Well, I made, I think, like 12 rows of the back panel, and measured the gauge and thought it was pretty good. So I finished the back panel. So that means you worked from about like on the lower side behind your shoulders, and you work it down to where you start the body of your sweater. So below your armpits after you've, you know, attached your top portion. And I admit, I didn't measure it out at that point to see how big the back panel was. I usually do those type of things, but I didn't. So then I continued on. The next steps is, because this is a no-sew pattern, is that you join to the top of your back panel and you work over the shoulders and you create a panel for your left side and a panel for your right side, whatever order it was done in, I don't remember. And you join the two. So I got to the point where I joined the two and I start looking at my top and realize this is way too big. At some point, my tension has totally gone loose, or I didn't measure my gauge correctly. I don't know which one. And I frogged it all out, caked up all the yarn, put it away in a little timeout. It sat in timeout for about 2 weeks. And then when we went on vacation the week before last, I took it with me on vacation and started again while I was there. So I brought a variety of hooks with me to check to see which size would be best. So the next thing I did was I tried a 3.5 millimeter hook, and I did the same thing where I started working on the back panel. But again, it was still way too wide and the rows were much too short and it was not working. So at this point, I'm like, okay, do I give up on the top or what am I going to do to change this? So she does have a chain one between the clusters. I decided we don't need chain weights. So I took all the chain ones out between the clusters, went back to the original size hook of 4.5 millimeter. And that is finally working for me. I don't want to blame MJ and her pattern for this, because normally I don't have any problem with MJ's patterns at all. And I don't know why I'm having so much difficulty with this, except for the fact that I do not usually use fingering weight yarn. So I've decided that that's what I'm blaming it on. It's got to be the fingering weight yarn that's the problem, and just I'm not good at working with that. But I did join her Facebook support group as part of my problems, and it seemed like a lot of other people were having a problem with getting gauge too, but a lot of them is the same thing as me. They don't normally use fingering weight yarn. But let's see the top. That was a lot of chatting and no top. Let's see the top now. So here is my top so far. Yes, there are a lot of ends, and keeping in mind that I have frogged this thing 3 times, so there's a lot of cut pieces. It's just the way that it is. So this is my top so far. There's the front. And there's the back. So when I say I would work a back panel, I would work it like, basically I would start it up here before these shoulder pieces. So I'd start it on this row here and I'd work it down to like here, but I was measuring around this spot and having it, as I said, the first time I thought that it was pretty good. So, but anyways, this is my top this time around. So my rows are still too short. So I'm doing a lot of extra rows. I did a little bit of extra length here, which is one of the places that she recommends adding length if it's short. So I did do I think I did do double the number of rows on the shoulder pieces. And then I used, for the V, I did the same number of rows as she has on her pattern. And then so far for the body, I have a lot of extra rows. Now her top is, it's almost like crop top length, not quite, but it meets her waist of her pants, which would be too short for me. I need something longer than that. So mine's already longer. Excuse me, I think I'm getting pretty close to the length that I need, that I'll probably finish it off soon, but there's my works in progress top. And I hope in my next video I have this one finished, because I really want to get this done so that I can wear it during the summer. So a lot of chalking for one top. What else have I been working on? I have been working on a bucket hat. I'm not going to show it today. It's in my go bag over there. I just started that yesterday. They don't take long. But I'm working on another bucket hat. And that's really everything that I've been working on. So, life stuff. So my last video, we had just come back from vacation. So I think I recorded it Tuesday last week, probably. Today's Thursday. And I did start on these squares the Sunday after we came home. So don't think that I finished all these squares in a little over a week. I didn't. I started them, like I had pretty much the whole day on Sunday. I finished 3/4 of a square on the Sunday. Because this fingering weight yarn, I can only work on it an hour or two at a time, and I have to take a break and work on something else because the fingering weight yarn does hurt my hands. So we came back from vacation, had a normal week, and then last weekend, my daughter came home for the weekend. So she is working at a camp up north for the summer. She normally gets 1 day off a week, and when I say 1 day off, she gets off from the time that she gets up in the morning. So she gets Saturdays off. So she actually has to, on Saturday mornings, she goes to breakfast, and she does because she's, I forgot what she does, her job title is, but basically she does their photography and their media stuff and recording and editing and all that kind of stuff. There's 2 or 3 of them. I mean, 2 of them that are like full-time doing this, and then they have one that's, I shouldn't say they full-time do this, because they also do an elective, which is a filming elective with the kids, where they do filming with the kids and help them edit their videos and all that kind of stuff. But there's 2 of them that do that for their full-time, and then there's one that's part-time, and she does more of filming and pictures when she's not doing the other things that she does. I think she does less editing and putting it all together and stuff like that. But anyways, my daughter goes to, on her day off, which is Saturdays, she has to hand in her weekly video on Saturday morning, as well as they show that video to the kids, and they show them some of the pictures that they haven't seen over the course of the week. They have screens around their dining hall where they can see all this. And then the kids actually get ready to go home on Saturdays. So once breakfast is over, she is now on her day off. So she's off from then until basically curfew on Saturday night, which they call curfew 11 p.m., but in reality, it's before that. But anyway, so that's normally her day off. This year, she gets 1 extra day at some point in the summer to use as either a Friday, Saturday, or a Saturday, Sunday. So she came home on the weekend. So she took the camp bus down on Saturday morning, which the bus didn't show up on time. It was an hour late arriving to camp. So she got down here an hour late. So it was like 12:30 by the time she got here, because the bus leaves a little while after breakfast. So yeah, she got here about 12:30. I went and picked her up at the pickup spot. She came home. She hung out with her dog. Excuse me. She had a nice hot shower in the shower at home. What else did we do? We went and got food to make supper, what she wanted, which her request was baked potatoes and barbecued chicken. So we made that for supper for her on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we went out for breakfast, her and I and my husband. My son unfortunately had to work all weekend, so he was at work during the day. Yeah, we went and had breakfast on Sunday morning, and then I shouldn't say it was Sunday morning because she enjoyed her bed on Saturday night. We did not go to bed. We went to bed late. It wasn't late for us for a Saturday night. It was like probably 11:30 when we went to bed on Saturday night. And she was in that bed until 11:30 on Sunday morning. She enjoyed her bed on Saturday night. But yeah, after she got up on Sunday, we went out and we had breakfast. And again, just hung out the house and basically did nothing during the day. She hung out with her dog. We had some stuff to talk about in relation to school for September and getting things ready for September and stuff like that. So we did all those things. Talked about her financial things for college and paying for things, and we talked about her class registration and when she has to do that, and kind of made arrangements for all these things because internet at camp can be a problem. That sometimes she, like on her phone only works in some places. The Wi-Fi is only accessible to staff members at some times because Wi-Fi is considered I don't know how to put it. Wi-Fi, they're basically treated like little kids when it comes to Wi-Fi if they, because staff members are living at camp. So if they keep their living quarters clean and they keep the staff areas clean and all those kind of things, then they get the bonus of using Wi-Fi. But when those things aren't being taken care of, they take the Wi-Fi away. So there's no guarantee of her having Wi-Fi while she's at camp. So and internet there is really slow. So when I say Wi-Fi, we're talking slow internet anyways. So we have to make arrangements for things all ahead of time, that if she can't do her course registration, that I can do it for her, those type of things. Now, when I say Wi-Fi and them taking it away and stuff like that, in terms of course registration and all these type of things, which are really, really important, obviously, they have exceptions to all this, that they can go to the office and they can always bring their computers and go to the office and sign into the Wi-Fi in the office temporarily and use it when they have to do these type of things. And they of course make exceptions for all this because the staff members, like 95% of the staff, are students and would have to have accommodations for all this. So anyways, so I was glad to have her home. I drove her back to camp on Sunday. We left around 5 o'clock and stopped and had a quick dinner on our way there. I dropped her off at camp. It took us till we got there about 7:30, and she had stuff in the car to unload. Like, she had gotten more snacks to take with her and food. She gets tired of camp food after being there she's been there now for 5 weeks. So she starts to get tired of camp food after a while. So she brought some extra food for herself that she wanted. So I helped her unload her stuff. She also did all of her laundry while she was at home. So she had all of her clothes, her clean clothes, to take back to the cabin. So I helped her take all that back to the cabin. And we just hung out and walked around camp for about 15 minutes. And then at a few minutes after 8, I left and headed home. And I got in back at home at, I think it was 11:15 at night. So it was a long day for me, all that driving. But I was so glad to get to spend the weekend with her. I miss her immensely. And it sounded like she was glad to have a little break and come home. So that's really what I've been up to lately. Work, getting to hang out with her on the weekend, stuff like that. So yeah. So, and just enjoying summer, going for a walk, going to my husband's baseball games, stuff like that. Enjoying summer. So anyway, so if you'd like to tell me about what you're working on, I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you've got, great summer plans that you'd love for me to hear about, I'd love to hear about that too. I always enjoy reading your comments. And although I don't necessarily get back to you guys right away, I always read them right away. I prefer to type on my computer than on my phone. So I tend to read comments on my phone and then go back later on the computer and comment back. But I always enjoy reading your comments right away. But I think that is it for today. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Thanks for liking my videos, and I will see you next time on Lori Hugs. Bye everyone.